Good morning, everyone. So today is lesson 7 of module 1, and we're going to continue with the story, The Little Yellow Leaf. I'm going to share my screen with you so we can go ahead and get started. Okay. Make sure that you have your journals where you can use them if we need them, and a pencil. There's going to be something in here today that they're going to say you need a yellow, green, and blue crayon or a colored pencil, and that we're not doing that part. We're going to do that through Kami, so you won't need actual crayons or colored pencils for that.
Hi friends, welcome back. I'm Sue Sabella, your Great Minds teacher, and I'm very excited to continue to learn and grow with you. Let's see what we need for today. Today you will need handout 11B exemplar paragraph, your Wit and Wisdom in Sync journal, your pencil, today a yellow, green, and blue crayon or marker. Pause here to gather what you need and hit the play button when you're ready to continue.
Okay, so remember we're going to use the handout 11B and the green, yellow, and blue in Kami.
When we chat with our friends about a story, it's important to be able to remember that story clearly, also in the correct order. Today we'll be diving back into The Little Yellow Leaf, and we'll be reading closely to determine what's happening in this text. One way to figure out what is happening in a story is to identify its elements or parts. Setting. When and where does it take place? Characters. Who is in the story? Problem. What problem does the main character face? And resolution. How does the problem end? As a second grader, you're probably very comfortable discussing setting and characters. Let's take a bit of time to review problem and resolution. Problem is something that's hard to deal with in a story. It could be a challenge that a character is having. A resolution is the way a problem is solved or ended. We'll be working together to identify the story elements in The Little Yellow Leaf. Let's get to it. As we revisit The Little Yellow Leaf, we'll use story stones. The story stones will help us mark the place where we're finding the story elements. The story stones that we'll be using are for setting, characters, problem, and resolution. As we revisit the story, we'll mark those places in the book by putting a stone on the page. When I ask a question, I'll pause so you have lots of time to think. Or also, if you'd like to have a longer time to think, you can hit the pause button and you can use that extended time for thinking or for discussing your thinking with a learning partner. Okay, let's dig in. Let's begin with setting. We'll take a look at the setting at the beginning of the story and also at the end of the story. Let's start at the beginning. What season is it when the story begins?
Okay, so what do you think, guys? Based on the pictures and the illustrations and the words, what is the setting of the story? What does it look like? Well, I notice that there are all these colorful leaves, and they're on the ground, and they're around this tree too, okay? So it looks like the tree branches are all bare. So the illustrations make me think that it's fall. And in the words, it says it was autumn. And I know from our vocabulary that autumn is another word for fall.
It is fall. And where does it begin?
Okay, so where is this? We know that there are trees, so it's got to be somewhere where there's trees, so it's obviously not like in a city. And if I look at the words, it says, in the hush of the forest. So it's in a forest, guys. A lonely forest.
In a quiet forest. I know that it's a quiet forest because we read in the hush of a forest. That reminds me that it's quiet. We also know that it's fall because the leaves are on the ground. There's only one leaf left on the tree. That's our setting at the beginning of the story. Now let's take a look at the setting at the end of the story. What is the season?
Okay, so let's look at the illustrations again, because remember that we could look at illustrations or words, but the only word on this page is the word together, and that does not help us with the setting on this page. So what do you notice about this page that shows what season it is? I see snow around the trees. I see snow on the mountains. I see snow around the people's feet, and I look and I see snow around all the pumpkins. And some of the pumpkins, especially this one, looks like it's already starting to rot. So I think, based on what I'm seeing, that the new setting is winter.
It is winter. Take a close look at the illustration and point to evidence in the illustration that tells us the season is winter. You probably pointed to the snow on the ground. The snow is letting us know that the season is winter. Where does it take place?
Okay, so where do you think it's going to take place? It doesn't seem like we're in a forest anymore. I don't know. What do you think?
It takes place in the windy sky above the forest. You're probably noticing that the setting at the end of the story is different from the setting at the beginning of the story. And the setting can change in a story. That's something important to notice as a reader. Now let's identify the characters in this story. Who are the characters in this story? Find them on this page and also say their names out loud.
Okay, so look on this page and see if you can find who the characters are. Tell your learning partner who you think they are. I see Little Yellow Leaf as a character, and I see Little Scarlet Leaf as a character.
Little Yellow Leaf is a character, and Little Scarlet Leaf is also a character. I use the character story stone to help me mark the page where I met the characters for this story. Let's think about the possible problem in this story. What is the Little Yellow Leaf's problem? Think for a bit and whisper to me or discuss it with your learning partner. It's okay to pause a bit and just hit play when you're ready to continue.
All right, so what I want you to do is turn and tell your learning partner what you think the problem is. What is Little Yellow Leaf's problem?
Little Yellow Leaf is afraid to let go of the branch. It is lonely. When I read the phrase held tight, that makes me think that he's not ready to let go yet. He might be a little afraid, and that's why he's holding on so tight. And twice on this page, the author used the word alone. That makes me think that little yellow leaf may be lonely. I'm starting to get an idea about the problem in this story. And there's our story stone to mark the problem. Read these pages with me. "You're here?" called the little yellow leaf. "I am," said the little scarlet leaf. "Like me," said the little yellow leaf. Neither spoke. Finally, "Will you?" asked the little scarlet leaf. "I will," said the little yellow leaf. I bet you're starting to see a resolution. Pause here to think about the resolution a bit, or to discuss a possible resolution with your learning partner.
Okay, so we know that the problem is that that little yellow leaf is scared and alone. And what do you think is the resolution? How did he solve his problem? Turn and tell your learning partner, and then you can push pause and tell your learning partner, and then push play when you're ready to move on.
Each leaf is deciding that they can let go if there's a friend to go along with them. That's one possible resolution. We're going to continue in the story, and we'll take our resolution story stone with us to see if we can learn more about other possible resolutions. They're soaring together. I'm thinking that little yellow leaf doesn't look very scared anymore because now he has a friend to go with. Little yellow leaf made a change. That's another possible resolution. He let go of the tree, and now he's soaring in the sky. Because we read the story again with the elements in mind, we could easily chat about this book with a friend. We'll remember the setting, both at the beginning and at the end. We'll remember the characters we met, the problem that little yellow leaf had, and also the resolution of the problem. It's so helpful to revisit a text more than once. And also, it's lots of fun to bring those story stones along to help us mark our thinking. When we chat with friends about stories we read, it's important to be able to recount the story clearly and in the correct order. Remembering the story elements can help us keep track of the important information when recounting a story. Recounting a story can also help us think more deeply about how the problem or challenge in the story was resolved. Stand up, my friend, or give a stretch and get ready to shout out loud. As I highlight each story element, shout it out loud.
Setting, character, problem, resolution.
Now we're ready. I'd like to show you how to recount the little yellow leaf, but I'm going to need your help. Every time I mention one of the story elements, point to that element on the screen. I'm going to disappear for a bit so you can concentrate on the story elements. Every time I mention one of the story elements, point to that story element on the screen. Ready? Here we go. It started in a quiet forest in the fall. When the little yellow leaf didn't want to let go of its branch because it was scared and alone. Then the little yellow leaf met little scarlet leaf. Finally, they agreed to let go together, and the little yellow leaf wasn't lonely anymore. Thanks so much for your help. Whenever I recount a story, I need to make sure I include all of the story elements, and you helped me do that. I don't know what I'd do without you. I use this frame to help me recount the story using the story elements. Let me show you exactly how I use this frame to help me recount the story. Before I begin a recounting, I'd like you to notice the bold words at the beginning of what I'm about to say. It started in. It started in is part of our frame. And as we continue, you'll notice that the bold words are part of the frame to help support our recounting. So here we go. It started in a quiet forest in the fall. Which story element did I describe? Shout it out or tell your learning partner.
Okay, so what do you remember about what we said about the story elements, okay? It started in a quiet forest in the fall. Does that tell us who the characters are? Or does that tell us where the story takes place?
This frame helped me get started, and I recounted the setting. Remember, the bold word at the beginning is part of the frame that supports our recounting. Here we go. When the little yellow leaf didn't want to let go of its branch because it was scared and alone. Which story elements did I describe? Shout them out or tell your learning partner.
Okay, so when I'm looking at this one, I think that it's telling us two story elements. Which two story elements do you think? Well, it's telling the little yellow leaf. And what do we know about the little yellow leaf? That is our primary character. So this one tells us the character of the story, but it also tells us something else, that he didn't want to let go of its branch because it was scared and alone. So it tells us the character, the main character, and it tells us his problem.
The frame helped me get started, and I recounted a character and the problem. Point to the bold word and read it to yourself.
Finally.
Finally. The word finally is going to signal to a listener that you're getting ready to wrap up your recounting of a story. This frame will continue to support our recounting right to the end. Here we go. Then the little yellow leaf met the little scarlet leaf, and they agreed to let go together. Finally, the little yellow leaf wasn't lonely anymore. Which story element did I describe? Shout it out or tell your learning partner.
So what do you think the story element here is? So we've already talked about the setting. We've already found out the main character. We've already found out the problem. What do we see here on this part of the story retelling? Well, I see a secondary character right here. I see the little scarlet leaf as another character. And I feel like this may show us the resolution, how the little yellow leaf's problem was solved.
The frame helped me get started, and I recounted the resolution. Now it's your turn. Use the sentence frame to help get you started with your own recounting of the little yellow leaf. You can practice this on your own or with a learning partner, or you could even record your voice and then listen to your own recounting. Remember, when we recount a story, it helps us to better understand the story. I'm going to pop off for a bit so you have a chance to pause and practice as much as you need to. Just hit play when you're ready to continue.
Okay, so what we are going to do You are going to practice this, but you are going to practice it through Flipgrid. Okay, you are going to use Flipgrid to record your story retell for me as part of today's activities. Okay, so if you come to our page and go to classwork, we already have Wit and Wisdom Week 5, and here is the assignment, story retell for the little yellow leaf. So you're going to click on this story, and here is the story starter. Okay, so this is what you're going to use to start your story. And if you click on this link right here, this Flipgrid link, it's going to take you to, and it's probably going to ask you to do this, and you're going to hit join with Google. And you're going to click your name. Okay, and so it's going to bring you to this page. Here is your story retell. All you're going to need to do, guys, is you're going to practice this on your own before you record it. When you are ready to record, you're just going to click record a response. And then you're going to use those story starters right here, the story element starters, and you're going to retell me the story of the little yellow leaf. Okay, and then that's it. It'll automatically save it. You do need to come back to the classwork and make sure that you hit like turn in or submit or something like that. It might even actually be on Flipgrid. Make sure you hit allow. Okay. And then when you're done, there'll be a button that says turn in or submit or something like that. Okay. So that's what you're going to do with the assignment for today. We're going to keep going.
Today we'll be learning about evidence and why it's so important in informative writing. Writers support their ideas with evidence, just like the legs on a table support the tabletop. Evidence is proof or information that gives reason to believe something. Writers use evidence to prove or support their topic sentences. Be sure to follow your teacher's directions when adding vocabulary to your journal. Hit the pause button to add this word and definition to your journal, and then hit play when you're ready to continue.
Okay, so we are not going to do this today. We are going to do this later, okay? So we're just going to skip this part.
Today, we're able to add even more information to our informative writing anchor chart. Evidence develops the topic, and it comes from the text. Please pause here to grab handout 11B, your pencil, and then your crayons or markers, and you'll need a yellow, blue, and green. Hit the play button when you're ready to continue.
Okay, so this is the part that I was telling you about, that we don't need an actual yellow, blue, or green crayon. We are going to do this activity on Kami, and it is already uploaded for you. Okay, so we're going to watch Miss Sabella do it first, but it is already uploaded for you in your classwork. It's right here, handout 11A, exemplar paragraph. Okay, all right. Let's get back to our video.
Let's examine evidence from an example paragraph about the tree and the little yellow leaf. Please follow along as I read the whole paragraph through one time. The tree changes from late fall to winter. At first it's fall, and most of the leaves are brown and orange and are on the ground. Then the apples grow musky and ripe, and the leaves on the ground get dry and crackly. Finally, the branches are completely bare and covered with a shimmer of snow. What is this paragraph about? The paragraph is about how the tree and the little yellow leaf changes from fall to winter. Each sentence in a paragraph is important because it helps the reader understand the main topic. Which sentence in this paragraph tells readers the main topic of the paragraph? What do we call that sentence? Say it out loud. The first sentence tells the topic of the paragraph, and that is called the topic statement. Please grab your green marker or crayon and underline the topic statement in green. At first it's fall, and most of the leaves are brown and orange and are on the ground. This sentence is evidence that shows one way the tree changes from late fall to winter. It supports the topic statement. Please grab your yellow marker or crayon and underline this sentence on your handout. Then the apples grow musky and ripe, and the leaves on the ground get dry and crackly. Find the last piece of evidence that shows how the tree changes from late fall to winter. Underline the sentence on your handout in yellow. Blue and yellow make green. Blue and yellow evidence in the paragraph combines to support the green topic sentence. Here's an opportunity for you to share your new learning with your teacher. There's the check mark to remind us that your classroom teacher will be checking in with you about evidence. We'd like you to jot a response in your journal to this question. Why is evidence important in informative writing? I can picture you grabbing your journal and your pencil to write down why evidence is so important in informative writing. Pause here to write your response and hit the play button when you're ready to wrap up our video lesson.
Okay, so we are not going to write this today. We are going to come back and write that question and the answer later on, but we're not going to do this today. I will let you know when we are going to do it.
Your knowledge is growing every single day, and it was so much fun to learn and grow with you. I will see you again soon, my friends.
Okay, so that is the end of today's lesson. So I need you guys to make sure that when you get on to the classwork today, that after you watch the video, you work on your exemplar paragraph. And remember, guys, when you open it, you're going to open it with Cami right here. Open with Cami. Okay, and make sure that you are on the drawing tool. And it said to use green, yellow, and blue. And make sure that you are transparent as much as possible. Okay, that way, see how transparent it is? And it needs to be all the way to the bottom. If it's way up here, it's going to be way too dark, and I won't be able to see through what you've underlined. Okay, so make sure it's very transparent. And make sure that your lines are thick enough for me to see them, okay? Like if you come up here and do this line, I can't even see that. So make sure that your lines are thick enough for me to see, all right? So then you're going to do that, and you're going to do your Flipgrid story retelling of the little yellow leaf. Okay, so that is your work for today. Hope you have a great afternoon.